Hey everyone, I'm going to start broadcasting in a minute. I'll wait and see if some people get on first. Hey there. Hi everybody. Yes, invite other people along. Hey, hey. Okay, I'm putting my camera in place. Good morning, good morning. Hey, Marin. I'm just going to wait another minute. But I'll start to introduce myself. I am Laura Silberman. I call myself a clay artist. Been doing this a long time. I currently use low-fire clay, and I apply a lot of texture to my pieces, and I allow the glaze to bring out the texture in my work. And I thought today I would do a quick little lesson on these texture rollers that I make, and I'll show you how I make them and kind of how the patterns are. It's very easy, and it's a neat way to texture the clay along with so many other ways of doing it. I look down a lot when I'm working, so if I miss your questions, I'll pause from time to time and ask you to ask me questions. But just if I don't answer them, it's because I didn't see it, so please don't be offended. I will get to them, and I'll take some time occasionally to get to your questions. So we'll get started. And just one thing too, I do have a blog that I write every week. It's available on my website, which is Clay by Laura. That's what I call myself, www.claybylaura. You can follow me on Facebook, you can follow me on Twitter. I don't tweet very much, and you can follow me on Instagram. That would be great. I would love to have you follow along. I write my blog about what I do in the week, during the week in the studio. It's meant for my customers, it's meant for other potters, and all that sort of thing. So let's get started. I'm going to show you a couple of, these are what we're going to make today, rollers. So I'm going to show you what they look like and how I use them on the clay, and then we'll get to making them, because there's so many ways, so many things you can do. So I'll do this one first. This is kind of the back end of a larger version of a bamboo brush, just pressed in. But what it does, I'm going to have to hold, I have to readjust here a little bit so I can hold this up for you guys. That's the texture. And look what a nice, neat line that I made. And I use these over and over, or I will combine them. So I'll put a couple of them side by side. I don't mind the lines or dips that it makes. So those are 3 different versions that I've made. And I often will texture my clay before I even cut it out. I might roll it out a little bit thicker. I tend to roll between 1/4 inch and 3/8 of an inch. So it allows for me to press down into the clay and then cut afterwards. Often when you texture after you've made a piece and cut it out, it distorts it a little bit. So I either go back with the template I have and go over it again and cut it out once I've textured it, or sometimes I just freeform, and these tools are great for freeforming. And then I cut out, and wherever the pattern is, it is on my pieces. So another way of doing it are lines. I'll just show you this, and then I'll show you one other version, and we'll get started on making these. So what can you see that? So those are the lines that makes. I mean, I can't, my heart sings when I do that. Okay, and one other version, this is what these are actually even out of a different clay from long ago. This version has a line, and then can you see a little pattern in it? So what it does, can you guys see me? So you kind of go along, and it makes the line, and then it makes whatever the pattern is. And they're a lot of fun. And then you can go back even just with the thing that is the pattern and kind of use that as part of your texture too. So those are fun. So we'll get started with those. So let me just show you. Let's start with the one with the lines. and the little pattern. So what someone said to me, a teacher once said, which I thought was really the greatest, was that these are your best tools, which I thought was pretty cool, your hands. And so you start with a lump of clay. It's not rocket science. You just pick one and you'll get used to what size you want. You see that these are in all different sizes. I mean, as circumferences. I mean, there's small ones. There are larger ones, that sort of thing. I'm going to try to keep this lesson not too long because I tend to go on and on and on. So, you know, that you have a good opportunity to see what I've done and then move on. So, look at, patty cake is what I'm doing to make this disc. Then I use my thumb and my middle finger and just press in the middle, make the indentation. So there's your basic tool right there. And if I want to make it, of course, thinner to make that line, I just start squeezing around. And you can do all kinds of thicknesses. What's good about these two is once you've made them, you can let them dry and then test them on your clay. If you don't like them, you can recycle. So you don't have to get to the stage of firing them, or you can fire them and see too. It's not a lot of clay, but you can really test them once you get going and have them just sit up a little bit. Even if they're almost leather hard, they don't have to be totally dried out. So see, I've made a nice little thin edge. So that would create, well, that's wobbly. Let's see if I have. All right. Well, that would create this kind of thing. And what I did on this one is I just made it kind of a wobbly line. See the bottom one? There you go. Okay. Now, to add the little doodads there, and you can see it's kind of the different ones that I added. You just make a little notch. I mean, you can use your finger. It doesn't have to be any big deal. Then you can make this in any shape. You could do these all over. I have one where I added little things like that all over the place. And then totally prepared. You slip and score just like when you're making something, you know, you want it to adhere. Push that little ball in there. Now, so here's what I've learned. On this one, the edge of it is higher than the little doodad. You can make it even. This is a little more even. It affects how the line happens and where you might need to add pressure. This is just one of those things where you can play, and it's so much fun. So I've got this little thing. Look what I found, just a piece of trash. This is from a hose washer thing, but it's got a nice little edge on it. So I'm going to play with this and see if this will make a nice little, yeah, made a little cross in there. X. So, you know, that will leave that. Now I could still manipulate that, push it down so that it is even when I roll it. You can add these every once in a while or not. And you just keep going. You add them wherever you want. So again, that's how you get this. So it would be a line, like a dash and a line. A lot of these ones with the lines kind of look like bamboo. So if you like kind of an Asian look, let me show you kind of another idea with some of these where I've just put lines in. Can you see that? So that's kind of a bamboo looking, and you can just space that apart, but you can make lots of those. You could make them branch out and put like a little leaf on them if you wanted. Look how fast that is. I mean, it's instant gratification, which doesn't always happen in clay. Okay, so that's version 1. Another way to get lines is to add a coil to the piece. And what that looks like, And I use this quite a bit because I like it's the way, let's see, the way I glaze is using a couple of colors. So that just leaves some indentations in the clay, and when it's fired, I'll see if I can find something, the glaze pools in the lower areas, and it's just really nice. So that's another way just to add some general texture. All right, let me look up for a second. Does anybody have questions, whoops, right now that I could answer? Anybody? No questions? Okay, well, we're going to keep going. I'm just going to remind you, Clay by Laura, thanks. Clay by Laura is my handle, so to speak. So follow me on Facebook and all that sort of stuff. I like seeing what you guys do. Yes, the bamboo one is really fun. And that's, again, so I've done it lots of different ways. I mean, with the fatness, let me show you this one. Okay, so this is a little fatter, you see? That's the line that makes. And that's more, you know, that's a bunch of lines. That's not spaced out. Okay? So, another way to go with this, again, patty cake. And it would just start as a ball. I press in the middle. And a lot of times what I'll do, you develop a technique for this so that it will roll. But sometimes, can you guys see that? Especially if I want to get it kind of flat surface that I'm going to put lines or something. Now I have the canvas marks in there. I don't mind canvas marks, but if you don't like them, you can just wipe them away. No big deal. But then to get, you know, this kind of look, sorry, can you guys see that? I'll just use maybe something like this and press in. Now I have some, let's see, did I pull these out? Yes. I have one where I did some lines and dots. So I'll show you that. And I'm kind of rushing, so it's not, can you see? Well, those will look like little, you can press this down, but, so you can do that kind of thing. So, to achieve that, you could use a needle, which is, you know, that's another way. It doesn't have to be so deep, and if you use two different lines, you know, two different thicknesses, that'll give you a different look. It's all about playing. I pulled this out because, you know, I've bought these tools too, and they're expensive. So I'm just saying, you can make a lot of them yourself, and you can buy tools too. But this is a great way to, this is a really neat thing that I use all the time. Let me show you some other things. So I have a stamp of a heart. You can do that. You can push that in, and you know, you're just got to adjust it a little bit. But then you could have the heart pop up, you know, when you're rolling it. So that's another thing to do. I'll have other stamps that if I just am stamping them down, it's just a line. But if I want it to be a continuous line, then I can press that into the clay. So now I have that. Now there's a ridge here, so, you know, let's redo this one, sorry. Okay, let's make this one thinner. So, you know, if you mess up, you just start over again too. That's another way to think of it. Or if you don't like what you're doing, you can always change it. So, flatten it out, thumb, the middle finger. I roll it on the surface of the table to flatten it out a little bit, but then if it's a little too thick, I can go back in. So I'm going to try to get this texture on here. So I'm just going to make it so I don't want to have as much of a ridge as I first did. So I'm just gonna press that. Can you guys see that? So anyway, this is one of our friends, my friends, and a fellow Periscoper, Lindsay, of the Vegan Potter, was saying that she had a play day in her studio yesterday where she was making stamps. And that sometimes when you're stuck and don't know what to make, which we all go through, this is a good activity to do. It gets your juices going. It's fun. You end up with some good tools that you might like to use or not. And I'll show you some other things that I use as well. All right, I'll look up again. Any other questions out there? I'll look up. Yes, patty cake, exactly. All right, let's make another one. The other thing, I mean, you saw, so this is something, I mean, you guys are probably all like me. I'm always saving things for texture or using things that weren't meant for texture. I went to Bed Bath & Beyond yesterday and bought something that's meant for, I don't know, putting in between two dishes so that they don't scratch each other, and it has a pattern on it, and I liked it, and so of course that's what I was thinking. So look around your house, you know, get the fork that you don't use all the time out of the drawer, the sewing things, the rope, all kinds of things around our texture. So squeezing in the middle, and I was going to show you two things. So this is just that kind of thing. So if I want, I've done this both ways, so I'll just hold it, and I'm giving, you know, a fair amount of pressure, so that's a nice even thing. And then if I want to go in the back of this, let's see what that does. There. I mean, the possibilities are endless. And you see, maybe you can't see, I have tons of these. Now what's funny is I have my favorites, which we all do, so I tend to go back and forth. I make things and I think I'm going to love them, and yeah, I didn't really like this as much. I think it's a neat idea, but then one day if I haven't used it in a while, I'll go back and I'll use that. So I'll use this just to make different lines. Okay. I think I got you guys started. I mean, it's really up to you guys. Oh, hello. I'll do one more quick demo for some people that are just joining in. So I'm making these rollers out of clay. Starts with just a hunk of clay. Could be any size. I'll make a smaller one right now and I'll make it thinner. Roll in a ball. Patty cake. Use your palms, your best tool, your hands. Hey, Georgia. Bye, guys. I'm going to end this soon just because you don't need to see me making a million of these, because I bet you're itching to go in the studio now and make some for yourself. So I'm thinning this out. I tend to roll it just to get it so that it will roll nicely between my fingers. That just helps kind of seal the deal. If this is too thick and you want to make it thin again, no big deal. And then you just start adding pattern. Heard that, but my phone just rang. So anyway, here I am. I'm going to use this one last time. I'll just roll over that. That makes those. And there you go. So I think that's it. I'm going to keep it short and sweet today. Thank you. Write to me. Tell me things you'd like to see. Look me up. I'm at Clay by Laura on Instagram. My website is www.claybylaura.com. You can sign up for my blog on there. I write every week, every Monday. I write a blog about what I've been doing and that sort of thing. Any last questions, guys? I'll take any questions you have. Lots of hearts. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. See you on the flip side. Thank you. Bye.